Hey Warehouse, we are in the last day of our series called Rooted. We've been talking all about change, and a lot of the change is sometimes things that happen to us. But today we're talking about change that we need to make. Sometimes it's easy to know the parts of our lives where we need change, but it is not always easy to make the change. Sometimes we even hate change because we think it's not fun or it takes too much work. But today we're learning that God can change the way we actually look at change in our lives. So let's dive in. We're going to get up and do some worship. Don't forget, after, go down below to the description and you can do our activity sheet. And I'll see you guys next week.
Staring into your eyes makes my heart come alive. Suddenly brought to life when I met you. Reaching beyond the skies, running deep, stretching wide. Perfect love realized here with you. Come on now. Now this love is for real. You will never let go, never let go. Oh, and it's more than just words. Love beyond my control, out of control. Hands up. This is real love. This is real love. Say this is real love. This is real love. Oh. Come on and say, you're pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart till the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. This is real love. This is real love. In your heart, I am found. I want you. I want you. You won't let me down. You got me. You got me. No time is for real. You will never let go. Never let go. Oh, and it's more than just words. Love beyond my control, out of control. You're pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart till the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. This is real love. This is real love. Oh. Come on, y'all. You're pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart till the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. So this is real love. This is real love. Oh. Staring into your eyes makes my heart come alive. Suddenly brought to life when I met you. 1, 2, 3, jump! This is real love. This is real love. This is real love. This is real love. Oh. One more time, we say, you're pulling me closer and closer, holding my heart till the very end. Jesus, I'm found in your freedom. This is real love. This is real love. This is real love.
Let me ask you a question. What was your least favorite daily task that you had to do when you were a kid? Brushing your teeth, taking a shower, washing your hair, putting away your clothes, cleaning your room? Sometimes change can feel a lot like that thing your parents made you do when you were a kid. That thing you knew you needed to do to make your life better, but that you just didn't want to do.
My guess is, if I asked you right now to tell me one thing in your life that you know needs to change, you could answer me in about 3 seconds. We all could. That's because all of us know that there are some really great things we could be doing and some really not so great things we need to stop doing in our lives. We all know where we need change, but yet we all still struggle to make that change happen.
Maybe you know you need to change the way you eat because surviving solely on Doritos and Mountain Dew isn't the best for your body, but you simply don't want to change your diet to make it happen. Maybe you know you need to change the way you treat your stepmom, but it feels a lot easier to just keep being mean and sarcastic instead.
Maybe you know you need to make a change in your friend group because the friends you have aren't leading you to make great choices, but you're worried there may not be other friends out there if you do. Or maybe you know you need to change your grades at school, but you don't want to put in the effort and study or go to tutoring to make that happen. Or maybe you know you want to start taking some steps towards living a life for God, but actually doing that feels more like an inconvenience than anything else.
Our point is this: knowing the areas we need to change in our lives isn't hard, but actually making those changes is really difficult. Even though we know that the changes would be better for our lives, we still can't seem to make ourselves do them. So what's the deal? Well, the past couple of weeks we've talked about how God, who never changes, helps us stay rooted to the ground so that we'll be secure through the changes life brings us. I think sometimes we avoid change because the uncertainty that comes with hard changes makes us worry that the roots that have kept us safe and steady may no longer hold us up.
But I think the biggest obstacle we face when trying to change is the fact that real change is really hard. It takes effort. It takes perseverance. It takes a lot of time and energy. And because of that, it can feel a whole lot easier not to do it. It's easier to act like we don't care about the things we know need to change than to actually put ourselves out there and try to change them.
It's always easier to blend in and keep things the way they are than to risk standing out because we've made a change in our lives. It's easier to seem like we're going along with everyone else than to make a change that others might not understand. It's easier to stay where we are than risk getting overwhelmed with the effort to make a change. But I think that when we view making changes in our lives as some kind of chore or burden, we miss out on living the best possible lives God has for us. I think we need to change the way we see change.
There are some great pieces of wisdom about change throughout the Bible, and one of them can be found in the book of James. James, the author of the book, wrote a letter to the 12 tribes of Israel. These were God's chosen people, believers who had just been separated and spread out all over the region. In other words, they had just gone through a major change, something they didn't really want to do, but it had to happen. And I think what James said to them about the change they experienced can help us as we try to make changes in our own lives today. Here's how he started. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy.
James started this letter by reminding the people of Israel what we talked about in week 1. Troubles will come. It's not if challenges will happen in our lives, it's when. And because of that, we need to know how to handle them well. James knew that change was bound to happen, and he wanted everyone to know that they didn't have to be defeated by it. Instead, he told them to consider an opportunity for great joy. In other words, instead of seeing the changes you need to make in your life as difficult or overwhelming, see them as opportunities for potential joy. See them as chances for God to do something that will make your life better. James went on, for you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow.
Do you know what the word endurance means? It means building your strength over time. When you push past the pain, discomfort, and stress to make the change you're working on, you're making it easier for yourself to do it the next time. In other words, practice makes perfect. The more changes you make to improve your life, the more you're developing an endurance to help you face more changes as you grow. When you build endurance, You're stretching and strengthening the roots that keep you steady and secure through the ups and the downs of life. Why is that important? Well, let's see how James wraps this up. So let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing.
You see, making those changes in your life, putting in the effort and building up the endurance to do it, isn't really about the change itself. It's about your growth as a person. Every time you make an effort to make a change that will improve your life, you're growing as a person. You're growing your roots. You're growing in your faith. So not only do you change, but your faith changes as well. Just like any muscle, it becomes stronger the more you exercise it. And stepping into change will help you become the person that God wants you to become. Someone who is mature and complete, who doesn't lack anything in their life. Stepping into change helps you become rooted in God and who He wants you to be.
You see, what I think James wanted us to understand is this. God can change the way you see change. But honestly, sometimes change feels so messy that we can't seem to make sense of it. What's this a picture of? It doesn't make sense at all, does it? It just looks like a weird mess. It's kind of like how we sometimes feel when change is happening in our lives. But when we allow God to change the way we see things, we may just be surprised at what He reveals to us. God can change the way we see things. He can change the way we see change. So instead of seeing change as negative, we can view it through the lens James gave us in the Bible, as an opportunity for more joy, endurance, growth, and faith in our lives.
So here's what I want you to try this week. Let God change the way you see change. Think of the things you know you need to change as opportunities rather than chores, and put in a little effort to actually make that change, to grow in faith and maturity in that part of your life.
To start, I want you to pick just one area of your life that you know needs to change. Maybe it's the amount of time you spend in front of a screen, or your friend group, or a habit you have, or the way you treat someone in your life. Pick out just one thing that you've been struggling to change and ask God to help you change the way you see it. Ask Him to help you see it as an opportunity for something good, something better in your life.
And then make one step to change that thing in your life this week. It doesn't have to be a big, huge, life-altering step. Remember, real change takes time. It takes endurance. So take a small step toward building your endurance this week. Maybe it's sitting with a new group of people one day at lunch, or doing 30 more minutes of homework one night, or putting your phone away for a few hours, or going out of your way to do an extra chore for your parents this week.
Whatever it is, just make one small step towards the change you want to make in your life. And then next week, make one more, and then another, and then another, until one day you look up and realize that you've made the change. You've built that muscle, and next time change won't seem so scary.
Remember, God can change the way you see change. When our lives are rooted in Him, the changes we're struggling to make won't seem so difficult. As you go, I want you to think about this question. What's one change I'm struggling to make in my life right now?